trying to get him to come
Speaker
back
Batchelder sent you a letter urging you not to re-regulate in the whole energy field and to get aboard a couple of Senate bills that would reform the whole energy process.
Well, look, I mean, there's a lot of things going on in this. I mean, here's the issue is, should Ohio be able to generate the biggest chunk of its own energy? We right now do not. Some people would say it's not a big deal because you can bring it in the pipelines but what we really want to make sure is that the utilities have an environment where they want to reinvest in the state. That's what we look at. But look, there's so many issues. They deregulated, and there were a set of rules, and some companies were more aggressive than following those rules than others, and it's a constant back and forth. And the companies are, I wouldn't define them as actually great friends. There's a lot of competition. You have to get this right. We're having an energy summit in September. I understand, I just picked up in the last couple days, there's some talk among the companies as to what they want to do. In fact, I talked to Speaker Batchelder yesterday about, the issues that are out there. You just have to take your time on this, Joe, and figure out what is the right thing for Ohio. And I'm not sure what it is right now, but at some point it all has to be addressed. But it's complicated. So the question is, what does it cost to move stuff in? You have these regional power operations that are there to try to distribute power. How much do we need to generate in our own state? I'll give you another issue we have to think about. If a lot of companies need power, cheap power. So for example, there is a company that Toledo's trying to get right now, and they're competing against Tennessee. Tennessee has the TVA. So if you're very energy dependent, TVA can, subsidized by all of us, they provide power at a very low price. So when we compete and try to provide power at a low price, you can spread that power among a region, or if you could spread it among the entire state, then it means the cost per customer is lower if you can spread it statewide. But again, you have to get the companies to work together on this. You're probably going to have to pass this through the legislature. These are all things that we think about now, and they're very complicated, and you have to get it right. So we're in the process of that. Let me say one other thing. I've instructed Tim Keene to keep a very, very close eye on the revenue that is coming into the state. What's been happening here over the last couple days is, borders on alarming. The market is reflecting a lack of confidence, business not being willing to invest because of uncertainty, not bringing the workers on. At the same time, there is consumers have gotten very nervous when they watch developments in Washington. So the one thing we have to do is be prepared to take action if our revenues start to fall off, and I'm not saying they're going to. Right now, the July numbers are fine, but I've asked Tim Keene to contact the Senate President, the Speaker, which he's done, and we are not going to allow ourselves to go into a hole, 5 months into the fiscal year without being on top of things. So I don't want to tell you anything other than right now we feel we're fine. Keene is meeting with our economists. Fortunately, we were conservative in our projections. We were looking for an uptick in the second half of the year. Who knows? Now, some people tell me because of Honda coming back, not just in Ohio but nationally, with parts, and some people tell me how great it is. The economy is just so very spotty right now, but it is important that we keep our eye on the revenue numbers and do everything we can to have a different trend than what we're seeing nationally. But I'm concerned about it.
Governor, are you sensitive to critics who say that you're engaging in too much corporate welfare as you try to get companies like Wendy's to relocate back in Ohio? There might be too many incentives.
When we do these things, we make sure that these investments are return on investment positive. And when it comes to the issue of corporate welfare, I think I was probably the leader nationally in fighting it and closing loopholes, all the way back to taking away tax breaks for pharmaceutical companies that were operating in the islands. But here's the issue. Ohio, first of all, wasn't even able to answer the bell in the past. And the ability for us to put a package out there, and look, some companies we say, sorry, we can't help you. You have to be careful about this. But at the same time, you can't unilaterally disarm. But we know what our limits are, and we can't go beyond our limits. But could you imagine, I mean, this is a great day. Wendy's comes back to Columbus. I guess we could do nothing and let Wendy's move to Georgia, but I don't think the people, the taxpayers, would like that. And I find that most of the people who are critics, I mean, I don't really study them and I don't pay much attention, are people that had their chance and failed. So I think it's a good day here. And we have a lot of these good things happening around the state. A lot of announcements. You know, I was up in Youngstown. We have really good things happening up there. But, you know, it's a tough slog out of a deep hole in which we dug ourselves.
How much of the uncertainty in the economy you talked about, Governor, is coming from the recent fight we had in Washington? Or what do you think?
I personally believe, and, you know, everybody can have an opinion on this. I think, a legitimate opinion, I think it's two things. I really kind of dismissed the debt limit fight as being something that's unsettled Americans. I'm now thinking that it has unsettled Americans. What is it driven? Can America solve its problems? You know, what are these people doing down there? That is what a lot of Americans are saying. They don't quite get it, and they're not all that interested in the crossed T's and the dotted I's. The question is, are we dysfunctional in Washington? So it has Americans upset. And secondly, we have this Dodd-Frank bill. As you know about it. It's a heavy regulated bill. That bill is supposed to promote, I don't know how many thousand regulations over the next 5 years. So if you're a business person and you don't know what the regulations are going to be, you sit on the sideline. You take a look at the companies in America today that are sitting on cash like they've never had before. I was told the other day that Apple has more cash available than the United States government. They're sitting on cash because they don't really feel comfortable investing. And the problem is, until they invest, which includes hiring workers, this cycle doesn't get moving. And so it is Washington's inability to get this done quickly, and it's an anemic recovery that people fear. I don't know that we'd go back into a double dip, but this jobless recovery and this 0.4 growth in the re-estimate of the first quarter scared the living daylights out of me when I take a look at what's going on. So it is basically a lack of confidence on the part of consumers and a lack of confidence on the part of the business community because they don't know what the rules are and people are unsettled. Now, can we come out of it? I mean, sure we can, but now they're arguing, okay, is the next tranche of savings going to be tax increases or is it going to be spending cuts? I mean, it's got to end. We got to get something together. And I was there in '97 when we did it. Now maybe it's different down there today, but when we were there, we figured it out, and it's disturbing. For my 11-year-olds, it's disturbing.
What kind of actions would you consider if the revenue start falling?
Oh, we'd just have to cut spending. Period.
Governor, do you have any thoughts on whether or not Jared Martin should continue his service in the House, or if it needs to be?
No, I'm not. Look, I think they need to work their situation out. By having opinions on all these different problems, I just don't like to comment on that right now.
And the ballot board yesterday gave the no side to the We Are Ohio, the anti-Senate Bill 5 folks. Do you think that causes any kind of voter confusion because they've been running a campaign about...
I don't really even know what the language is. I mean, I don't know. I mean, does it cause confusion? I think, well, first of all, I think there's a lot of voters in Ohio confused about what Senate Bill 5 is. So, but I think by the time we get to November, everybody will clearly understand it.
I wanted to give you a chance to respond. I know there's been another story come out about use of the state plane.
Look, I've been to Cleveland more in the first 6 months than most governors have been there in the last 10 years. You get to go to Youngstown. I can do my work here. Look, we use the plane to get out there and help with economic development. I was in Cleveland last night meeting with about 30 CEOs talking about economic development. You're just not practical as a governor to be able to get to Youngstown, the next day get to Cleveland. You just have to use it, and people are always going to find something to complain about.
Governor, the Ohio Retirement Study Council is going to go for a new RFP to hire an actuary to look at what the plans have submitted in terms of pension reform. And this looks like it'll probably delay it by another 6 months or so. Does Ohio need to get moving on this, or
Well, if you're going to do pension reform, you have to have all the parties involved. If parties decide they don't want to sit at the table, it's pretty hard to get pension reform. I'll just leave it there, and
who's not sitting at the table? I mean, you made some critical comments of the Ohio Police and Fire Pension Fund.
Well, no, I didn't. I'm not making critical comments. I'm saying they're
fired off that little letter to you.
Well, I'm not interested in having an argument with the Police and Fire Pension Fund. These funds are in trouble. I mean, they're in trouble, and the taxpayers aren't going to bail them out. I mean, this is why we're trying to do Senate Bill 5, frankly, to try to stabilize the situation out here. And, everybody's got to work together. We'll see.
Governor Casey Anthony walking around Ohio with an Ohio State baseball cap. Any comment on that?
Say what?
Casey Anthony walking around Ohio with an Ohio State baseball cap. Any comment on that?
No. I got out of television a couple of years ago.
Redistricting this afternoon. Just some preliminary thoughts on.
I'm going to read all the stuff that they put in front of me. This will not be spontaneous. I'll be using a teleprompter.
Thanks, everyone. You're a big supporter of Speaker Boehner. Were you disappointed in Jim Jordan's apparent stymie?
Joe, I've had some private thoughts of which are going to stay private. Am I getting better at this, Joe? Huh?
We don't like
No, I know you don't.
You're getting better.
It's just I don't have to spend 24 hours having to go back, and figure stuff out. Look, it's a difficult process. The thing you ask yourself at the end of the day, look, you have. I think the Tea Party itself kind of split. Half of them voted for the agreement, half of them did not. I would say this: if it wasn't for the Tea Party, they probably wouldn't have gotten an agreement like this. Now, look, I have always argued that you could have flattened rates and closed loopholes, and that would have been good. And you could have had a bigger deal. I wanted the $4 trillion deal, which Boehner was pushing. Couldn't get it through. I think the idea of lowering rates and looking at loopholes is good. And we'll have to see where they go here as they go through this, what they call the super committee or whatever it is. So,
would you have voted for this deal if you were there?
I'm not there. Okay, so I got my own problems. All right, thank you all very much.